Hey, this is Brad. I'm here with Mike Ingham. He had a great day today, a 1-2 in some really tricky breeze on day 1 of sailing, day 2 at Thistle, Midwinters East. And we're going to talk a little bit about what he did that made him successful today. So, Mike, we had a real light breeze, real patchy. Can you talk a little about what your priorities were and what you did about each of those?
So our priorities today were to find pressure at all costs. There was some current. The current was against the wind, but where we were situated in the bay, here in Tampa Bay, we didn't feel we were close enough to a channel that one side or the other would have an advantageous current. So we weren't looking for one side or the other to get into or out of current. We were looking, our priority was totally pressure, angle if it was a really big change, but mostly just pressure. Our theory is that if you have a 10-degree lift, you can make a little bit of gain, but if somebody's in a little more breeze, they're going to go twice as fast. If you're going 2 knots and 3 or 4 knots of breeze, which it was pretty light, and if you get 5 knots of breeze, you're going to go 4 knots. It's a difference in speed. That 10 degrees shift, 15 degree shift is not nearly as important as the pressure.
So the takeaway there is just get into the pressure no matter what and take it as far as you can, connect the dots to the next block.
Correct. So in the micro scale, we were able to see the pressure. So we could see on the water, the wind was coming down the water, you get those little riplets. And we experimented before the race, and there were little glassy spots. And sometimes those are like cold water, and there's still breeze over them, and you still have some breeze in it. But today it was, if a glassy spot really was a lull. So what you saw in the water was real. So we found that in the micro scale, we would maybe 50 yards ahead, that range, maybe it tops 100, we could see that micro scale. We could see a little puff in the water, and we make sure if we wanted to tack, we'd get into this puff line and take that across. It was on the water, it was real. But we decided we couldn't see really far to the edges. We just couldn't see any extra breeze there. It was just too far away. I don't know, I'm not sure why, but I just tried to, even standing up, we couldn't see what was going on. So in the big picture scale, we unfortunately had to wait till one side started working another. So, and our assumption was that side, whichever side started working, would continue to work because that was where the pressure was.
And you're sailing a Fisher Main and a Proctor jib. Can you talk just real briefly about how you're trimming those sails upwind with really light breeze?
So I think the trick with both, it doesn't really matter which sails you're using, I think I would trim them almost the same. And that is the jib, I wanted to trim off that 10.5 inches from the mast to the end of the middle spreader. We always put a little zip tie out there. And we were trimming it pretty tight to that once we got up to speed, even though it was light air. We'd maybe take a 1/2 inch off of that. So it was 11 inches off the mast, 1/2 inch or maybe an inch off the tickler. And then we were trying to trim the main as hard as we could because we wanted to we just wanted to, as hard as we could without stalling it. So I just kept looking up at the top telltale, which is attached to the batten, the end of the batten, and just try to keep that flowing the whole time, maybe 50-60% of the time. If it was stalled more than that, it was just too light to let it stall too much. And so I was really cautious, and it was amazing how much it changed in the wall, how much I had to ease the main to get it flowing again. And then once I got it flowing again, I'd start bringing it in, and once I got up to speed, I could pull it pretty tight. And I think I'm bending the mast a little at that point and flattening the main, and that's a good thing.
So the takeaway there is we're trimming the jib pretty tight, and you're trying to keep the flow between the main and the jib going on. Yep. And you were trimming the main as hard as you could to about 50% flow rate to maximize your VMD to windward.
Correct.
So anything else?
Well, just when I would ease the main, if I felt stall, I'd look up the main. Even if it was flowing a little bit, I would let it flow almost 100% for a short time, and then we would ease the jib a little bit too to get moving again. And then we both bring the main and the jib in together to get back up to speed.
So that's it for day 2 at Thistle Midwinters. Looks like tomorrow may be more breeze from the south, a little better sailing. And thanks for watching.